This opposition is mainly from the Church of Rome because of what the research has unearthed regarding Jesus Christ and Christianity. So without further ado, let's activate the teleporter and get him beamed up onto the ship. It's Alan Wilson. Welcome, Alan. Do have a seat. Welcome on board the Starship, Alan. Are you well?
No, not too bad.
Good, good. Okay, well, you've written lots of books along with your partner, Baram Blackett, and I've got some of them down here. We're just going to briefly start to give an overview of your research.
By all means. Sure.
This is your latest book, I believe.
Yes.
Which is The Trojan War, 650 BC.
Yes.
I believe there's some controversy over that date, Alan, is that right?
There was controversy in late in the reign of Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, just BC. Virgil had produced his Aeneid, and again there was a massive conflict between the Greek dating of 1135 to 1330 odd. Okay. They weren't sure, and the Romans saying that the Trojan War was around 650. The Frank list of kings takes you back to about Antenor of Troy again, 650.
Okay.
The British histories, as recorded in Wales, certainly give a date of the arrival of Brutus at 500 BC in Britain, which again is 650, and the Hebrew records, 650.
Well, I mean, so, my knowledge of ancient British history could be written on the back of a matchbox.
Yeah, but, why not?
We're here, you know, you're going to try and enlighten me on British history, and the book that you wrote before this one is the Discovery of the Ark, which charts your journey to, you believe that the Ark of the Covenant is buried in Wales, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, and then we've got Moses.
Moses and the hieroglyphs.
Okay.
Yep.
And we've got another of your works, which is the King Arthur conspiracy, which
that's it.
we're going to have a look at this artifact here, which is King Arthur's cross. Which you care to tell us a little bit about that, Alan?
Well, there was an excavation done at St. Peter's Sub Montem Church in 1990. The excavation showed that the church went back to the 1st century AD. There were 7 or 8 successive buildings. It was variously destroyed. And it is either it's the burial spot of Arthur II. Okay.
And I believe you uncovered 2 gravestones there, is that right?
Well, there were a number of gravestones there, but what we were getting at, we were most of the way down to a crypt underneath the church. And the excavation was struck by a freak 100-mile-an-hour wind storm Sunday mornings. And then in the next fortnight, 2 70-mile-an-hour storms. The hill faces the Severn, and you've got the Atlantic and the Severn, and the excavation was wrecked.
And you know, the fact that this is King Arthur's cross is disputed by academics.
Nobody's disputed it.
No one's
with me.
disputed it. Okay.
We did ask the National Museum of Wales to test it for us, and they refused to test it.
Because
what can you do?
I mean, there are mainstream historians who think that King Arthur was completely fictitious. Are they not?
Well, if you have that statement, then all I can say is you've not bothered to read any ancient British history.
Okay.
Because it's impossible to make that statement if you have read any ancient British history.
Well, we're actually going to have a look at the cross because
why not?
We're going to have it beamed up onto the very starship. And I'm a bit worried about this because it's a very expensive artifact, and we're going to put it through our teleporter machine. So if I just activate the teleporter and it's Baram Blackett with King Arthur II's cross. Welcome on board the Starship, Baram, and thank you very much indeed for bringing this artefact with you. I'd just like to ask, take a sceptical point of view. I mean, have you had this thing authenticated?
Yes, the elctrum cross has been authenticated by the most reputable, reliable sources, including Bodycode, the international metallurgy analysts, who have got branches all over the world, Australia, China, United States of America, and so forth. And we have this report has actually been published in front of the book, The King Arthur Conspiracy.
Okay.
It's also been authenticated by the American Historical and Epigraphical Society. So there's several reports to substantiate that there's no doubt about the cross's authenticity.
Okay. And I believe due to the metallic content, you can roughly gauge the age of this cross. Is that true?
Approximately, it's early, but around 350 AD, approximately, I would guess, all in all.
Right.
Judging by all the reports and the general consensus of our investigations.
So does that not put it in the time of Arthur the First rather than
That's
Arthur
what I
the
think.
Second?
Yeah, I think that
Okay.
it could be, yes.
Right. So you think it may be King Arthur the First cross. And what about academic response from archaeological circles and that kind of thing? How did they respond when you uncovered this?
Well, firstly, we found that many academics, and particularly the ones in university, start with their preconceived mindsets within an inaccurate framework. In other words, they don't start with a clean sheet that sort of refer to each other's books too much. Basically, we start with a clean sheet and we operate on the scientific level, analysing the facts with industrial techniques of analysis.
Okay.
Basically, but the point is that there's been no actual negative responses about it. It's been basically kept in a sort of a low profile position.
Okay. Okay. Right. And what about, has there anything like this been found before?
Yes, about approximately 18 months ago, a cross was found by Quentin Hutchinson, and this was reported in the Times on the 22nd of September 2008. It's almost an identical cross in circumference and in weight. It's approximately 9 inches in length. It weighs about 2 pounds in weight. It's elctrum, and the headline is, "A Christian amulet that ruined my life is not a hoax."
Okay.
Now, Quentin Hutchinson had the same response, hostile response as we had, what we have experienced. But the point is, these sort of artifacts, in particular the metallic ones, could date anything from approximately 300 AD to 600 AD, 700 AD. So we don't know exactly the date of the cross.
Okay.
It could be anything ranging from 300 AD to 600 AD. That's a general sort of consensus of opinion among the experts which we have instructed to investigate.
And have you had it valued? I mean, I guess you can't put a value on something
How
like this.
can you put a value on such a unique artifact?
Okay. Okay, well, thanks very much indeed, Baram, for risking the teleporter machine, you know, because it would have been a disaster if you'd appeared and the cross hadn't. So I'll let you take it back down to planet Earth, and thanks very much indeed for coming in. Okay. You believe that ancient British history has been distorted over the last sort of 100 to 200 years, and that, that basically the Roman occupation was far less than is stated in normal history books. Now, we need to go back, I think, to 700 BC with the 10 tribes of Israel. Can you tell us about those, Alan? And
The second migration into Britain is that one you're referring to. What has happened is that we had an ancient alphabet in Britain. Julius Caesar describes it, numerous others. I mean, David ap Gwilym died 1367, describes it. It's on ancient stones of 600, 500 BC, AD in Scotland, in England, and in Wales. It's described by a number of writers in Wales in the 1425, 1450, 1470 period. Rhys Goch of Oswestry wrote a whole poem about it in 1582.
this is the,
And
so
so
pronounced
the alphabet,
Culbra.
the alphabet, yeah. So the dispute has been that in recent times, and I mean recent times, 1930s onwards, the Colburn alphabet was declared to be a forgery of 1800. Well, Julius Caesar would have had a job to describe it, and all these others would have had a job to describe it, and it wouldn't be on ancient stones.
Okay.
It's on one stone in Wales which says Godolphin the Exile, and Godolphin was a king who was deposed around the year AD 200, and so on. So the authenticity of this alphabet is literally beyond dispute.
Okay. So you've compared this alphabet with another alphabet from basically from the east. From
Well, no. What's happened is in 1797, a writer. In 1848, another book was published. 1852, another book was published. 1848, John Williams from Oxford. And in 1906, D. Delta Evans. And they all said, isn't it strange, the ancient British alphabet is virtually identical with ancient Etruscan, Italy, right? And Pelasgian, which means the Aegean and Asia Minor.
Okay.
So that matches the migration route of the ancient British people. So like the Brits have gone to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America, they've taken their religion, their customs, their language and alphabet and everything with them. So other people migrating would do the same. Now, Llewellyn Shawn, around 1530 to 1560, preserved the cipher of the alphabet. So we know which symbol is A, which is B, which is C, and so on. We thought, well, it's been said that every alphabet known to mankind has been tried to translate Etruscan. Well, that's not true, because they didn't try British alphabet and they didn't try the Welsh language.
Okay.
So we did that. We tried it out.
Okay. And one of the artifacts is the Brutus stone from Lemnos, which contains some of this ancient alphabet, which you have compared with the ancient British alphabet and found, you know, basically that it's based on the same thing. And in 504 BC, the migration of some of the tribes of Israel came to Britain.
Yeah, what has happened is that the Assyrians knew the 10 tribes of Israel as the Cymry, Khumry. They had been deported from Israel up north into the Armenian area around there. When Sennacherib was murdered, 687 BC, they took their opportunity with a civil war raging in Assyria, and they moved through Turkey, coming west. And the Greeks picked up, and they called the Cymry the Cymry, they would, and the Cimmerians. They got to the Dardanelles about 650 BC. Well, there are inscriptions in this same alphabet right the way through Turkey.
Okay.
Equally, Austin Layard discovered the archives of the Assyrian emperors, sent 25,000 clay tablets to London, and some of the people at the British Museum said, oh gosh, look, here's the ancient British alphabet on some of the baked clay tablets from the records of the Assyrians. So it occurred to us that the Cymry, the Cymry, are the same people. Because again, it's on the migration trail.
And this sort of, you believe that there were no Celts in Britain up until about 1714 then, is that?
When they were invented.
Right, when the Celts were invented.
That's right.
Okay.
If the British people are Celtic, then all the histories are wrong.
Okay.
And can be rejected.
Right.
The same applies to Ireland. And the idea of them being, see, if you dispossess people of their history and you eliminate the history, which has been done, then you have to give them a new identity.
Yes.
So why not Celts?
Okay.
Yeah.
And you believe that there were basically British kings right the way through the Roman era.
Oh, you can prove that. You can prove that, yeah.
Okay.
The kings started with Brutus around 500 BC, and there are 80 successive Welsh kings, based mainly in South Wales.
Right. And Arthur I and II were two of those kings.
They were two of those kings, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Alan, well, we're going to go for a short break now. It's all fascinating stuff. So join us soon after this short break.